good afternoon and welcome to Today on BayTV. We are live in Swansea on Wednesday, the 5th of July, 2017. I'm Keith Millwood and this is Gaynor Morgan. We are joined by Liz Cairns and Robert Llewellyn-Jones.
But before we start chatting, let's start the show with some music from O.J. Lewis.
Well, since my baby left me, well, I found a new place to dwell. Well, it's down at the end of Lonely Street at a heartbreak hotel, where you know you'll be so lonely, baby, so cold and lonely. You'll make me so lonely, you wanna die. Well, though it's always crowded, well, you still can find some room, well, for broken-hearted lovers to cry away their gloom and make it so, we'll make it so lonely, baby, so cold and lonely. You'll make me so lonely, I wanna die. Now the bell's tears keep flowing and the desk clock's dressed in black. Well, they've been so long on Lonely Street, never look back. Make it so, we'll make it so lonely, baby, so cold and lonely. We'll make it so lonely, wanna die. Well, now if your baby leaves you and you got a tale to tell, well, just take a walk down Lonely Street to a heartbreak hotel, where you know you'll be so lonely, baby, so cold and lonely. You'll make me so lonely, I wanna die. Well, now since my baby left me, well, I found a new place to dwell. Well, it's down at the end of Lonely Street at a heartbreak hotel, where you know we'll be so lonely, baby, so cold and lonely. You make me so lonely, I wanna die.
Oh, that was a powerful start to the afternoon, wasn't it? Really great, yeah.
I woke you up, Gaynor.
And I think we should have been singing Penblwydd Hapus, Keith.
Oh my gosh, am I allowed to wear these for a moment? Just to show it is my birthday, yes. Oh my gosh, 26 plus VAT. I was born in 1958, so work it out there, isn't it? You know? Oh my gosh,
It's very
great
special
time.
on this day, isn't it?
There's some cake as well, so let's get
Where's
the...
the knife?
Oh yes, let's get this.
Only came in for the birthday cake.
It's the children's cake, but some people say I'm going back to my second, the second childhood. I never actually left the first.
Where's the champagne?
Oh, it should be, shouldn't it? Oh, that's later. That's later.
Oh,
that's
right,
later. So we'll all enjoy a piece of this later.
What are your earliest memories then, Keith?
Oh, my earliest memories. Yes, I was. Yes, I've actually lived in the same house since I was 2 and 2 days old in Dunvant. Yes, so earliest memories are very much of Dunvant and the chapel in Dunvant. Tremendous times. They were such innocent times, really. Very lucky to have had a wonderful upbringing with my mum and dad, Dorothy and Glyn. Of course, I got my brother, and I still live with my brother, Lee.
Oh,
yes,
nice.
yes.
So things haven't changed at all?
No, things...
Dunvant's still very villagey, isn't it?
It is. A very special place, I think. But Swansea's a very special place as well, you know, very friendly. I've just come back from a few days in Belfast, and you find that the Northern Irish people were very, very welcoming, very, very friendly. But it reminded me of home. Perhaps
you know, Belfast is very cosmopolitan, but it's very friendly and cozy, isn't it?
So, yes.
Dunvant is cosmopolitan.
Belfast.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's getting more cosmopolitan. You know?
Yeah, it's got the best of all worlds, really, just like Swansea.
It has.
So we'll be lighting the candles after. We don't want to give the health and safety people an apoplexy, do we really?
It's also the birthday of Phineas T. Barnum of Barnum and Bailey's Circus.
Oh, really?
Very much an entertainer, and I suppose over the years I've done my little bit for entertainment then. It's nice to share the birthday. When is yours?
September the 24th.
Oh, we must have a special one.
I'm a little bit older than you.
Oh, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. And Liz, your birthday? Last week or 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago it was, yeah.
Big one, big one,
was,
yes. And Robert?
I'm a Sagittarian, like Gaynor.
Ah.
Yeah, but when's your birthday?
December.
Oh,
Ah, indeed. My gosh.
I thought I was a Libra, and mine's September. It took a while for that to sink in. There we go.
Yes.
Right, well, what else happened on this day in history, Liz?
In 1841, Thomas Cook, a Baptist cabinet maker, founded the first travel agency. The first official Cook's tour involved almost 600 teetotalers taking the train from Leicester to Loughborough.
That must have been boring.
600 teetotalers. We have a video as well.
It's 1841 and you're about to go on Thomas Cook's first organised excursion to Loughborough. The 12-mile journey only cost you...
I went to a dinner this week, or lunch, sorry, on
But
Monday.
it wasn't a teetotalers dinner.
And the guy who bought Thomas Cook was the speaker, a man called Lloyd Dorfman.
Oh, really?
And he founded a company called Travelex.
Oh, yes.
And began with something like £44,000. And now he's one of the richest men in the Forbes. He's about 600 and something in Forbes rich list.
Wow.
And a very impressive. He was chairman of the Prince's Trust. A very impressive man. And that's the connection with Thomas Cook.
You do mix with the cracker, Robert. But I wonder what Thomas Cook's interest was. As a cabinet maker, perhaps he made these trunks or something, or perhaps he just made so much money he wanted to travel.
No, it's
Sheffield, isn't it? Sheffield, a strong connection with Sheffield, yes.
Yeah, I still can't imagine why he packed 600 teetotalers into the train, but there we go.
He's a damn good businessman, I guess.
Yes. Well, in 1948, Britain's National Health Service Act begins. Now, we also have another connection that in 1948, the birth of Anira Rees at Almond Valley Hospital in Carmarthenshire, she was the first baby born to be born under the National Health Service, just after the clocks chimed midnight. She was named Anira after the founding father of the NHS, Aniran Bevan.
Oh, is that
Bevan,
sweet?
yes,
That's
yes,
really
I love
sweet.
that. I love that they've used his name into a female form, then Anira.
Oh, that's a really, really sweet way of paying tribute, isn't it?
1948.
And to think, I know she was born in Carmarthen.
Yeah.
And that's the UK as well, so
Yeah.
it's really good.
It always annoys me that the statue of Anira Bevan in Cardiff, all the pigeons are always on it. Nobody seems to clean it off. No, it really drew...
I suppose in a way it's disrespectful because you're going to...
Well, yes, when you think of all that he's done, I think at least someone could wash that every morning.
Yeah.
I lived in
Yes, I
Cardiff,
see the
really.
plaque all the time in London, near Victoria area. Yes, that's where he lived. Yes,
I see. Great man. And of course, he wasn't very old when he died, was he? Early 60s?
He wasn't. I think he was in his late 50s, perhaps.
Very sad, because he'd seen all the suffering in the mining valley he grew up in, and
He was
couldn't
a
afford
remarkable
medicine.
man, there's no doubt about that.
Because it wasn't easy to drive through the legislation, was it?
No, well, his famous phrase was that he was going to cram their mouths with gold. I think that was the expression he used in order to win over the diehards of the medical profession. And he succeeded in doing it.
No,
We've got so much to thank him for.
Oh gosh, yes, definitely.
every single one of us.
We're lucky to be living in this country.
It makes us proud to be Welsh, even prouder to be Welsh.
Definitely. In 1996, Dolly the sheep, the first mammal to be cloned from an adult cell, was born in Edinburgh, Scotland. The cell was taken from a mammary gland, leading to the name Dolly Parton. I remember
I didn't know. I remember it, yes. So there were all sorts of fears, weren't there, about it?
At the
And
time.
I think she did live to...
You are close to the sheep industry.
I was going to say that.
I wonder what you were going to say that. But there was a lot of concern, wasn't there, about whether it was a start, where it would lead to, and about the welfare and whatever. But in fact, she lived quite a big age for a sheep. But there was an expert on the radio this morning talking about whether humans would ever be cloned, and he said, "Well, why would you? It's much more fun to do it the other way."
I thought so. I thought some already had, to be honest with you.
There we go.
In 2012, the Shard, the tallest building in Europe, is opened in London at 309.6 metres. It cost 1.5 billion and took 12 years in the making. We have a video as well to show this.
I'm not sure if you've got time to see that.
I have been up the Shard though.
But the flats are still empty at the top because they're £50 million each.
So expensive.
That's right, and it was a Welshman, believe it or not, who was Russell Harris.
Thanks anyway, we'll talk more after the break. We're keeping Robert and Liz on the sofa, and of course Keith will be with me. We'll be talking newspapers.
Oh, look forward to that.
Delving into the news of the day. Welcome back to Today on BayTV. I'm Gaynor Morgan. With me is Keith Millward, and we still have with us Robert Llewellyn-Jones and Liz Cairns, and we're going to delve into the newspapers, aren't we, Liz?
Yeah, we're going to start slightly different today, though. As we all know, Wimbledon's still on and that and everything. I'm going to show a quick viral where US star Jack Sock's 17th seed, he throws in a souvenir towel into the crowd, and then a young boy grabs it, but then an older gentleman tries to tug it off him, which we'll see now quickly.
Man with a hat, is it?
Yes, it is.
Not very sporting, is it?
Even Andy Murray's mum had tweeted, if you're the bloke in the blue polo shirt and hat, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Oh, yeah, so he should.
Yes. And bless Jack Sock, he's trying to find out who this boy is so that he can do something for him to make amends.
Oh,
it wasn't his fault. I mean, that's a grown man doing that, for heaven's sake, isn't it? I know. Goodness knows, it's only Wimbledon, so it hasn't long started. Look what's going on already. I don't know. Right, back to the actual papers. The Guardian. The Guardian has said student debt hit 57,000 for the poorest. The Metro's gone with this also, with student loan worse than a mortgage.
It's disgraceful, isn't it?
And also the Times, 3/4 of graduates will never pay off student debt. Now showing obviously...
This is in England though, is it?
It is in England, yes. We have our own different student loans, but at some point we all have to pay them back, irrelevant. England is slightly different to us, but the whole point is the fact that all these students, they're doing things that they want to try and to make themselves better. Once they leave, though, they hit then with this debt, which is basically going to follow them for the rest of their lives, what they're saying. The same in Wales to a point. We still have to, like I said, pay it back. And then you've got that overshadow constantly with you, that you've got something you have to pay back. And like they're saying, with regards to the poorest families, it's going to deter people from going to university. So where does it end?
All my children have got student debt, and I just think it's dreadful. In our generation, you know, we had abundant and very good education. Whether you took advantage of it or not is another thing. Well, you did, of course.
There was a grant, wasn't there? And that was means tested. But, of course, your university fees were paid anyway. And that was a great relief. But I just wonder again how many of the people who go to university today are pursuing, and this may be a heresy to say this, are pursuing what I call valid courses. You know, I mean, to do a degree in, you know, the relations, inter-community relations in Pobl y Cwm is not...
No, but what's wrong with Pobl y Cwm, mister?
But it really annoys me that the jobs aren't out there. Really, children, young people are funneled into higher education, aren't they? And without really a thought to what jobs there are.
Some are working as well.
You know a lot more about it, don't you?
Well, as careers advisor, yes, but as you correctly say, it's different in Wales, although there's still money to pay back. But yes, I always think that there's transferable skills, whatever the course you've... and university isn't only about the education. Yes, it's an important part, very important part, but it's meeting other people and discussing, and I think that's what I learned from my university days. And luckily, you know, I'm still in touch with many friends who were in university, and I was educated not only in the course that I studied, but educated in world things.
But as a career, things have changed with the greatest respect. I know it's your birthday today.
Yes, I know, and I've heard from many of my friends.
Would you advise today's youngsters to go to university, or are there any other options?
Well, there are other options, because there's some very good apprenticeships. It's best to discuss things through with the careers advisor. There's Careers Wales, and you know, rather than just being tunnel vision and thinking I'm going to go to higher education, there may be a better course for you. There may be a better educational course, there may be a better course of action by going into an apprenticeship, because you're learning, often you're learning the skills, the practical skills, as well as the education courses when you're doing the apprenticeship.
And you're making money as well.
Yes.
Well, of course, of course.
They went out of fashion, didn't they? But because they were really much valued when we were young.
Well, I've got a grandson who has done a course in plastering, and he's now finished, and the contractor he works for has treated him very well, and he tells me that within 2 years now he'll start his own business and become self-employed.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he doesn't have this enormous
Yes.
debt.
I think they're becoming popular again. You know, I know there was a period that many went into apprenticeships, then it sort of went out of fashion. But I think now they've reinvented themselves, you know, and their apprenticeships today are different to what they were years ago.
And of course, as journalists, we did apprenticeships, and I was an academic. It really suited me much better
That's
than...
the thing, it offers a different way as well, doesn't it, into the work and learning. My son, he's in his last year now, he's about to finish as well. He did an apprenticeship, electrical engineering, so he's part of Building Bay School, Bay Baglan, and it gave him that pride. And
that's a lovely school, Bay Baglan.
Definitely.
Really.
It's a very good apprenticeship, because there'll always be a need.
This is what I told him.
Like that.
And also, you don't have that terrible culture shock so many students have when you suddenly have to face the world of work,
Yeah,
you know.
that is so true.
Anyway.
Right, moving on. The Times and the Eye both are covering the Trump calls for UN crisis meeting over North Korea.
Well, that is frightening.
And the Eye stated North Korea missile test raises nuclear alarm. As we know, with regards to you have views on this as well.
Thank goodness it's on the other side of the world, isn't it? At least we've got a breathing space, haven't we?
Yeah, it doesn't touch us, but it has now. Because of how far it can reach, it will touch. I think it's Alaska, which is going into the US, and that's why now Trump obviously has a voice about it.
Well, it's interesting, you know, because these analysts have explored why is this man doing it, and they've come up with a suggestion that it's to destabilize the relationship between America and South Korea. And they hope, the North Koreans hope, that the Americans will pull out of South Korea, you see. And then, of course, they will have then the united Korea, North and South. Well, of course, I can't see that happening. But that, they say, is what all this saber rattling is about. Now, how you cure that, of course.
But Trump, of course, has called on the Chinese to put pressure on North Korea. Is that going to work?
Well, you'd think that the Chinese they would be the major player, wouldn't they, in that particular theatre? And maybe relations between America and China now are better than what they've been. There's a possibility that this could happen.
Very worrying times.
It is,
yes.
Well, it is if you live in South Korea.
Yes.
On a happier note, the Eye and the Daily Mirror have gone with these. Firefighter deal busts pay cap. They've given the green light at last to a 2% rise. I know it's not as much, but it is. It's a green light.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. But Daily Mirror, it's selfish to give our heroes pay rises, says the millionaire ex-premier who rates in 120,000 an hour for speech, because he thinks they shouldn't have a pay rise and they shouldn't have a voice.
Which ex-premier is that? There've been a few.
There may be more. Yes.
He thinks it's selfish.
Yes, that's what he said.
All right.
They shouldn't have basically a voice, and they should just be happy with what they're on at the moment. They shouldn't.
I'd like to see the context of that comment. Extraordinary, really, isn't it? Anyway.
I know. But the green light has gone for that. Daily Mirror quickly have said, please save my life, Prime Minister. This is with regards to Mark Johnson, 9 years old, who's been waiting 6 months for a new heart donor. We were speaking about this previously, with regards to how the donor has gone. Now, I assumed in Wales that we now had to opt out rather than opt in to the donors. But you were saying with regards to
I never really know what's going on, but I did renew my driving licence online this morning, and you had to tick a box on the screen whether you want to donate your organs, and then which organs you'd donate to. Makes you stop and
Yeah,
think.
so I think maybe in England they haven't changed it. I don't know what's going on there.
I think it's a no-brainer, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
There we are, Gaynor. There we are.
Well, there we go. Lots in the papers today. And next we're going to be talking to a man who knows no introduction, really, Gordon Back, and he'll be with us on the sofa.
See you soon.
Welcome back to Today on BayTV. I'm Gaynor Morgan, with me is Keith Millward, and Gordon Back has joined us. So welcome, Gordon.
Yes,
thank you.
Very eminent gentleman, and among many things you do, you're the artistic director of the Gow Festival.
Yes, I am.
So tell us more about the festival.
It's in its 41st year. I've been the artistic director just for 4 years now. It's a great festival. It uses all the churches on the Gower. There are 17 churches, and there's a different concert in every church every night. So it's a peripatetic sort of movie.
It's a lovely touch, isn't it? Because there are so many wonderful churches on Gower, and so many of us don't visit them, really.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many that people don't know. I mean, last night we had a concert with the Menuhin School Orchestra in Oystermouth, which you'd know, which sold out. It holds 250. The night before, we were in a church that only holds 80. So it's sort of fascinating how each church, in Rossley, so it's fascinating how each concert becomes a different event.
Yes, and the festival itself, I think we can have a little flavour of it. Perhaps we can see for ourselves a little bit of the festival.
It's a great honour to be here at the very first Command Wales part of the Gow Festival, and it's wonderful to be celebrating the 40th anniversary in this unique Welsh way with a Command Wales.
Makes me emotional too.
Because Alwyn Humphreys there.
It was Alwyn Humphreys,
yes.
Last year was the 40th anniversary. they'd never had a Gymanfa and growing up in Tonna, one had Gymanfa when I was young, so I wanted to introduce one. Yes. And they just reopened the Three Crosses Chapel, which is the biggest on the Gower.
I thought I recognised it.
And it was, nowadays you get sort of 50 people coming to a Gymanfa. We had over 400 there last year.
Really?
It was such a success. Alwyn conducted. We had Rebecca Evans. She came and sang as the soloist. So it was so successful. I had so many requests. Would I do another one this year? So we're going to, and that's next Sunday, in fact.
It was such a feature of Welsh life at one time.
It was, absolutely. And I mean, I sat there almost crying, thinking of my first Gymanfa last year. It was so emotional. Then.
So what's to look forward to in the festival?
Well, no festival can stay the same. So when I started it, I wanted to introduce different elements to broaden the scope of the festival, and to get a broader audience coming in, basically. And the Gymanfa was one idea. So each year it's a challenge to what to introduce to make it more popular, different, and attract, well, a bigger audience.
So it goes on until the 15th of July.
It does, yes.
So what other events are coming up with them?
Well, we've just had four concerts, and each one is sold out for the first time in the history of the festival. Various churches. We've got some great things coming up. I've got 2 Russian star pianists coming to play in Llangeneth Church, which dates back to the 6th century.
Yes.
And when you walk out there after the concert and you've wine in the interval, in the graveyard, it's absolutely magical, because it sort of looks out over the bay, and it's
the weather's on your side.
The weather's going to be good, actually.
Yes, yes.
What else? We've got Wyn Davis, who is a local person.
Who was in school with me. Yes.
Was he?
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Well, I mean, the big rivals were Gowerton and Neath in rugby and in music,
yes,
really.
Yes.
So I've got various friends that I've known for a long time. I mean, Wyn is now eminent as one of the top conductors in the world, and he's head of New Zealand Opera.
I know about New Zealand, yes. But you're
I'm not sure who he's going to support on Saturday, by the way. But it's fantastic. He happened to be back in the country, and I said, well, come and do something. So he's going to do a cabaret evening.
Oh, yes.
Which he does brilliantly.
He does. Just win, isn't it?
It's
yes.
Just win.
Yeah, that's what the
does
title
he call it? I'm trying to...
The title of the evening.
A fun cabaret evening with Wyn Davies, who plays cheap tunes in the best possible taste. I love it.
He's an incredible musician.
Oh, he's a fantastic musician.
But so are you, because you're such an eminent gentleman, as I was saying, because of the Yehudi menuing. Yes, so tell us what other festivals you're involved with worldwide.
Well, Gower is my sort of part-time festival. My main job is artistic director of the Menuhin International Violin Competition, which is the world's leading competition for young violinists under the age of 21. And since I've taken that over, it happens biennially every 2 years. It's gone, in fact, in 2008 we were in Cardiff. I've done it now for 10 years. Because I met your producer there, in fact, I remember. And then in 2010 we moved to Oslo, which you said you know.
Yes, I know the Opera House very well. I've walked all over it.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Because you can walk all over the
it's
amazing modern
I mean, next
design.
to Sydney is probably the most beautiful opera house in the world.
It really is, but you've performed there. And
I performed there. We had three of the last concerts there. In fact, the King of Norway was the patron. And there was a lovely story where we, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it actually.
Say it anyway.
In the gala, it was of course all rehearsed except for the King, and they started the national anthem, but the TV got it wrong about telling us when to walk in, because I was next to the King. And they started, the audience stood up, and they had to repeat it. And luckily it was going out live on EBU about 20 minutes delay, or half an hour delay, actually.
Yes.
And then as we walked in, the audience, of course, was smiling because it was the second time. And the King turned to me and said, well, of course, the orchestra needed to practice the national anthem.
Wonderful moment.
You have performed all over the world yourself, and you're known particularly for accompaniment, and you've worked led a course in the Guildhall School.
Yes, I've been a professor there since, God, 74, actually.
So may I ask you a question?
Yes.
The difference between a pianist and an accompanist?
Well, I'm also a pianist, but accompanying is a sort of special art of being flexible and yet keeping your own personality. I mean, it's something I grew up learning, in a sense. I mean, I played for a male voice choir when I was 12. Played for terrible violinists in Neath Grammar School. But it gives you a fantastic sort of, a learning skill then of how to accompany. In fact, I didn't know I was even good at it when I was in college. I mean, everybody wants to be a soloist, the glamour. And I played concertos with the BBC Welsh, as it was then, and with the Glamorgan Youth Orchestra. And then my professor in college heard me playing with a singer for a singing competition called the Richard Tauber competition. And he said, I had no idea how good you are at accompanying. And I said, am I any good? Because I just didn't know that I was...
Completely different skill.
It's a completely different skill.
It's listening, I'd have thought.
It's a listening skill. Well, it's like you as an interviewer. You have to actually listen to the person you're interviewing.
How strong is musical education nowadays in our schools?
I think it's very, very weak. I mean, it's one reason I've come back to the Gower for this period. My parents died in 2002, and the house was in Tonna, where I grew up, where I was almost born in. But we had to sell it. But then when I realised what's actually happening to education, in my time with the glam, as we call it, it was free lessons, free instruments, and so many great talents like Wyn, myself, John Anderson, the oboist.
And you were all nurtured.
And we were all nurtured. It was an incredible, maybe it was a golden period in musical education in the area, I don't know. So one of my big things is coming back and putting something back by hopefully taking the Gower Festival into a very new... And
possibly to inspire young people?
Absolutely, yes. Three of the performers, the day after the concert, go into the schools and give a master class. They work with the workshop with the children there. In fact, tomorrow night we've got an incredible cellist called Jamal Aliyev, coming, who's just 23.
Well, we'll look forward to that. Just briefly, how can people find out more? Is it all online?
Online, gowerfestival.org.
So
I'd say 90% of the tickets are already sold out, but there are some available.
We can look out for it online, can't we?
Thank you.
So,
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's fascinating, fascinating. And loads of people will be heading to the Gower Festival, I should think.
Indeed. We'll next be inviting Dean Verbeck to the sofa and a very special guest. Welcome back to your final part of Today on BayTV. I'm Keith Millwood. This is Gaynor Morgan, and we are now with Dean Verbeck with a very special guest, Ellie.
Yeah, I was going to ask Dean to introduce her. Dean, tell us a little bit more about your guest then, about Ellie.
Ellie Davis is playing the part of Diana in the Performance Factory's forthcoming production of A Chorus Line, which is next week at the Furnace Theatre in Llanelli.
Exciting time.
It's a fabulous cast of youngsters. They range from age 14 up to 20. They've been rehearsing for just over 6 months. It's a very dance-orientated show. You may have seen the film, which was, I think, set in the 70s, but made in the 80s with Michael Douglas playing the part of the director.
It's an incredible piece of theatre, though, and for many years it was the longest running Broadway musical until Cats came along.
Yes, it was.
No pressure then.
No, it is a wonderful piece, and it shows many skills then of the cast, you know. So what is your role exactly, Ellie?
Well, my role, I sing more than I dance, really.
Oh, right.
And I'd say that's my strongest point. But my character, she's more of like a standoff character. She puts up a front to hide her insecurities.
Her name is?
Diana Morales.
Yes.
Yeah, and she's, I've had so much fun playing her part, and I've had so much fun in rehearsals process. Like, I look forward to my Monday nights every single week completely. And I love performing all the time. Like, it's ridiculous how much I've enjoyed the show. Really loads of fun.
And you've got a tremendous song called Nothing.
Yeah,
that's
and
right,
What I Did for Love at the end,
oh,
huge, massive.
Yes,
Yeah.
a very well-known song, What I Did for Love.
I think we've got a flavour of
Oh,
yes, I believe we do.
Yeah, yeah. So
Suddenly I'm 17, and suddenly I'm 17, and suddenly there's a lot I am not certain of. Goodbye 12, goodbye 13, hello 1.
Wow.
you were dancing enough there.
Really giving your all.
So tiring.
It must be hard to sing and dance.
Completely. It's been such a struggle, but because it's been like non-stop, but we've just got used to it, really. Yeah.
So how long have you been in rehearsals?
Rehearsals since January. So we finished a Christmas Carol in December, and then we went straight into rehearsals.
Yeah. Oh, it really is non-stop.
It is, absolutely. And just before that, we had our sellout 10-year anniversary production of Les Mis, the school edition.
Les Miserables.
Yes, absolutely. And Ellie was Eponine.
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, but that was wonderful as well.
Favourite part ever.
It was a terrific production, and Performance Factory are right in the crest of a wave because of the success, not only of Les Miserables, but also A Christmas Carol, which was a humdinger of a good piece.
It was lovely last Christmas, yes. and the Christmas previous, we did A Miracle on 34th Street. So we've had, this is our fourth. It really is an excellent company. It's the same company.
And the reason for the choice of A Chorus Line?
We wanted to. We always kind of cast to our strengths. So it depends on who's in the group at the time. We've been lucky. We haven't lost many students over the last couple of years. So they've grown with us. I've got a fantastic team. Dan Fulham is musical director, and Lindsay Richards, who's been with the company for close to 10 years now, choreographer. So we wanted to play to the skills, which were, we've got some excellent dancers, excellent singers. So that was the reason for the choice.
So how could young people get involved if they're interested? Because we just heard from Gordon from the Gower Festival that really musical education isn't what it was once. So.
Yes, I was watching that back in the green room. We have 5 bases with the Performance Factory, and our students start as young as 3. So they get to do singing, dance and drama, but we do advocate skills for life. That's what we're about building confidence and self-esteem and building friendships, as well as giving young people up to the age of 20 the opportunity to perform
I would have thought, Ellie, that your sights are on the stage, are they?
Yeah, completely. And it's such a hard industry to go into. And I can only thank the Performance Factory for getting me where I am today. And it's such like a close, like a family, I'd say. Like I love going to drama on Mondays, just to see my friends, to see my teachers, because... Yeah, Dean. Yeah, I love it.
Yes, and then creating a piece where you're all working on something together. So it's come to the final week now before you open. So what preparations do you have to make between now and the opening?
Well, we're all going back through our scripts, checking cue lines, all stuff like this. Like, it's manic, everything. All the pressure's on us this week, and making sure we're looking after our voices this week, so we're fine for next week, yeah.
Do you get nervous?
Sorry.
I used to, because I've been doing this since I was 10, but now it just comes naturally now, yeah, and I just love doing it, yeah, completely.
It's very sad because we're losing Ellie this year. I mean, great for her. She's going up to London to continue her studies in musical theatre. At the Emile Dale Academy. So really exciting.
Well done. That's lovely.
Yeah. But a sad time for us because she's such a talented actress.
And where can we see a chorus line? I know it was in the Furnace.
So it's at the Furnace Theatre in Llanelli. It runs next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday at 7:30 p.m. If you
tickets online? Or?
Yes, at the theatre box office. You can either call up or online.
Right, so just wondering what the process is now between you opening and just moving into the theatre.
It's quite an intense week for us, really. The students are kind of taking every opportunity, as Ellie said, they're going back through their scripts, because you can imagine having rehearsed for almost 7 months, the text that they learned 7 months ago meanders and becomes something else. So I'm revisit the script because what you're saying now isn't what is in that book there, you know. But we've got technical rehearsals, so we get into the theatre with all the set and the scenery, which is pretty minimal for this. Costumes arrive now at the weekend, and then band call, which is we've got a 13-piece orchestra, so full day. We've got 2 band rehearsals on Saturday, and then our dress rehearsal at the beginning of next week.
I can almost feel the excitement. How do you feel afterwards? A bit flat?
Yeah, basically, yeah. After Les Mis, I didn't know what to do with myself. A week in the theatre, I was just a bit like, oh, what do I do with my life now?
All that energy and emotion.
Completely, and it's my last show with Dean, so it's going to be loads of tears.
Yeah,
it very much is a groundbreaking show, and if listeners haven't seen a chorus line before, I'd encourage it, because it is a very important show historically. So yes, and I know that the Performance Factory will give a wonderful production.
Thank you. Hope to see you there.
So thank you to all our guests, and to all you viewers for watching us.
And today's film is Vendetta for the Saint, starring Roger Moore.
And with that, I'm going to enjoy my birthday celebrations. See you tomorrow. Yes, of course. Oh, yes. Let's get to them.
To try to earn $1. Every time I call my baby, try to get a date. Well, my boss said, no dice, son, you gotta work a late. Sometimes I wonder what I'm gonna do, but there ain't no cure for the summertime blues. You gotta make some money. If you wanna use a car to go riding there Sunday. Well, I called my baby, I tried to get a date. Well, my boss said, no dice, son, you gotta work a late. Sometimes I wonder what I'm gonna do, but there ain't no cure for the summertime blues. I'm gonna take I quote, I'd love to help you, son, but you're too young to vote. Sometimes I wonder what I'm gonna do, but there ain't no cure for the summertime blues.